Okay, so this is going to be test 1. We've got a massive Inferior Mirage going today. I mean, that lighthouse, for instance, is not as tall as that at all. And I'm going to point something out in a minute, because we are at low tide, and right now I'm about 45 foot above sea level, and the distance to the lighthouse is not far enough to be affected by any earth curve. I believe it's around about 13.4 miles away. So that sand dune that sits in front of it, that normally blocks off the bottom of the lighthouse and the house that sits behind it, that's adjacent to it, we can no longer see that because we've got this Inferior Mirage, and it can't be being caused by earth curve. So next we come along to, obviously, the buildings of Barrow, and you can see that Inferior Mirage beyond the post, at the lowest point that you can go. It's actually mirage in the sky above it, so it's the same colour. So you have the building, then you have the sand dune that's in front of it at the bottom, and then underneath the sand dune you have the sky that is repeated back on itself, and that is typical of an Inferior Mirage. So, as I say, it's low tide, but we have some weird atmospherics going on right now. But I want you to concentrate on the post in relation to the top of the building to the left, because as I say, this is day 1. We're in early to mid-December. It is Thursday. I'll upload this video later, and I want to see if there's any looming going on. So by reference of that star that sits on top of that post, we should be able to get a screen capture of that in relation to the building behind it, and a series of different days coming down here testing whether or not the relationship between those two is any different. No difference, no looming. If it stays the same, obviously, then proof that there isn't that looming effect going on. Anyway, I just wanted to point out the Inferior Mirage because it's quite evident here, and we know that there's extra land further across here that has been seen many a time from this location. The one with the V-shaped tower on it, and of course we can't see any of it. We can't see any of the land or the tower. You know, the one with the truck, where I had the truck next to it, that's not evident, that's not visible today. But as I say, what is evident, what we do see, is the Inferior Mirage. And I'll just want to repeat this, is that when we come across to the lighthouse, I should have a direct line of sight to the lighthouse and the hill beneath it, sorry, the sand dune before it. And the only reason that I can't see it is because of this Inferior Mirage. It's not earth curve, we're actually at low tide right now. So I'm going to zoom out, show you where I am, as usual. As you can see, low tide. By the way, the time right now is about 25 past 10 in the morning. Temperature on the car said 4.5 degrees. So we're at BLO 97 at Anchors Home. It feels colder, I'll be honest, it feels colder. You know, I'm struggling to hold the camera because it's really, really cold. There's a bit of a breeze, not very much, probably around about a 10-mile-an-hour breeze, but it makes it feel like it's about probably 0, I would say. So, day one done. Hope you guys all enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next video. So here I am, back at Anchor's home. It's low tide yet again. Different weather, different conditions, and essentially we're going to be looking at the buildings of Barrow again. This time without the Inferior Mirage. So the video I released a couple of days ago that showed the atmospheric blocking, which was caused by the Inferior Mirage that blocked out the sand dunes and alike, that isn't in play today. So what you're going to see is completely different. And obviously we're not talking about earth curve here, we're talking about the effects of the Inferior Mirage. Well, we do have a small amount of Inferior Mirage, but nowhere near as much as before. This is the mast, and you can see all the land underneath that. Now, if you remember on the other video, that looked more like floaty land. So obviously you can actually see that there is land underneath it. Just bear me whilst to focus the camera. So yeah, there you can properly see the land underneath it. There's land. It just looked like floaty land in the last video. Now, it's the same height of tide, so clearly the blockage was atmospheric. The Inferior Mirage was in the air, in the atmosphere. It was not on the water, it was not the curvature of the earth, it was the atmosphere causing the blockage. This is what we should have seen the last time we were here filming with the Inferior Mirage. However, we didn't see that. We saw the buildings as they are now, but then we didn't see the sand dune in front of them. There was a mirror image inverted of the buildings that was causing a blockage. Now, you can see today that a direct line of sight isn't curvature, a direct line of sight is atmospheric. So the Inferior Mirage was happening in the air. Then when we come over to the lighthouse, if you remember in the last video, the lighthouse had a mirror image underneath it. And there we have Barrow Town Hall. So yet again, 100% proof that the Inferior Mirage happens in the atmosphere, and that Inferior Mirage blocks out the bottom of things. And in actual fact, I just panned across there not long ago, and we didn't actually see this piece of land. We saw this piece of land here, but then this extra piece of land has just popped up out of that Inferior Mirage that you can clearly see. There's a tiny bit of it going on at the bottom, but nothing like the other day.